What is happening, guys? How are you doing? This is Rob of Ro2R Review. Welcome back to the channel, and today it's finally time to talk about Nintendo at E3. So Nintendo's E3 Nintendo Direct will officially be happening on Tuesday, June 11th at 9 p.m. Pacific time, which of course is my time. That is about 3.5 weeks away. We are in the 1-month countdown until E3 kicks off. That whole weekend is going to be just an E3 bonanza. And here we are, man. We've made it. We've officially made it back to that E3 bubble and window. And it is the most exciting, of course, for all the reasons that we all know. When it comes to Nintendo, I know that you will have seen already probably 100 videos from other YouTubers discussing E3 predictions, and even specifically Nintendo at E3 predictions, because it's what we all like to do. That's the fun of E3 and the hype and build up to the show. And even though I might be a little bit late to the party, I still have stuff to say. I still want to talk about it because I'm very, very excited. I have some pretty decent expectations as far as what I'm hoping to see from Nintendo. I'm hoping that they're going to have a solid show. I mostly feel that they are going to have a solid show. Obviously, it's a weird year because of so many things. I mean, we've already seen a lot about some of their biggest games for the year. Metroid Prime 4, of course, delayed, started over development, a lot of stuff going on there. We've been waiting for some other things that we haven't seen in a while. There's been some rumors over the last year or so that still have yet to come true or be discussed. So there's just a lot going on. Last year's E3 was a show that overall I very much enjoyed, but a lot of people were down on. Mostly because they also spent like way too much time on Smash Bros. Ultimate. Let's be real. It was great getting a blowout of that game, but they spent way too much time on it, and by the time they had that last Direct for Smash, like in September or whatever, that was perfect. And so it's like, why didn't you do something more like that than the 30 minutes that you spent at E3? Either way, that stuff doesn't matter. I just want to talk about what we can expect at this year's E3 Direct. Not the Treehouse, by the way. So whatever they're going to do at the Treehouse, there might be surprises and some stuff there that I'm not really going to consider. I'm just talking about the, 20 to 30 minute Nintendo Direct they're going to give us for E3 as a packaged presentation. What can we expect from that? What are some of the big surprises? I have quite a few big surprises. As far as stuff that might be less of a surprise, some of the obvious things I expect: more information on Fire Emblem, more information on Animal Crossing. In fact, the first information on Animal Crossing I think will be coming out. Hopefully a release date or a release window for Bayonetta 3, maybe even a showcase of what that game looks like. Although I would love to just get some sort of confirmation of if that game is a 2019 or a 2020 release. Hopefully some Luigi's Mansion info. Those are like the big games I'm hoping that they talk about that we already know about. Bayonetta 3, Luigi's Mansion 3, Fire Emblem, Animal Crossing. They've got to talk about those things. But what about surprises? What about the things that we don't know about that we hope to actually see? I did discuss an overall surprise list of stuff that I hope to see, shown at E3 across all companies. But when we focus just on Nintendo, what are some of the big surprises that they might actually give us in that E3 Direct? Well, I have a list of 6 options, 6 games, titles, series, 6 things that I think that they might be willing to surprise us with at E3. And I'm not saying they're going to do all 6 of these. I'm going to say that they're going to do maybe 1 of these or 2 or 3 of these, but definitely not all 6. So don't take this as like my prediction that this is going to be the most incredible megaton announcement E3 ever. I'm talking, this is just a list of things that I think make sense to show up, and so we can pick and choose which ones may or may not be there. The first thing that I want to discuss is Pikmin. I truly feel that the return of Pikmin and the first appearance of Pikmin on the Nintendo Switch is upon us. And it might be next year, but I think it could also be this year. So I feel like one of the series that has a strong chance at returning at their E3 Direct this year is Pikmin. And of course, I'm talking Pikmin 4. I'm not talking about a remaster of the previous Pikmins, even though I love those games. I'm not talking about some dumb port of the 3DS Hey Pikmin game. I'm talking Pikmin 4. Miyamoto talked about Pikmin 4 5 freaking years ago in 2015, you guys. And we still haven't seen hide nor hair of it. So I just feel like this is a great time for Pikmin to make a return. Another huge one that I don't really know how much I believe in. It could go either way, but it's a possibility. I brought it up recently. It's Star Fox. I also feel that Star Fox has a chance at returning sometime soon. And so, again, this year's E3 makes sense as far as a Star Fox game. And, what are they going to do with the new Star Fox? Who knows? Are they going to do this racing Grand Prix sort of thing that's been rumored for like a year? Maybe, maybe not. I'm open to the idea, but I don't know how much I'm starting to believe that it's real. This year would really show us if it's real or not as far as I'm concerned. But obviously the perfect thing that we would all want is a return to form for Star Fox, which... people don't give it credit for this, but Star Fox Zero was an attempt at a return to form. It truly was. And it's why I do enjoy that game despite its issues. But it did have the issues, all of which we already know. I don't need to retread those here. And so maybe they would just do something that's, you know, what Star Fox Zero was trying to do, but instead of making it a retread of Star Fox 64 and doing weird, confusing controls, they would make it a brand new game and stick to the core fundamentals of what made Star Fox great with those first two games. Granted, I love Star Fox Adventures too, but I don't expect a Star Fox Adventures game. I'm talking about the spirit of Star Fox on the Super Nintendo and the spirit of Star Fox 64. Take that, harness that dopeness and that badassness, and put that into a new game on the Switch. Another surprise I want to bring up is something that actually has a bit of traction over the past several months, and so it'd be really interesting to see something happen here. And it would be whatever new game Monolith is working on, because we all know Monolith Soft, one of the best developers under Nintendo's umbrella, making those 3 incredible Xenoblade games. All 3 are fantastic. I don't care what any of the haters say. No picking and choosing here. I like them all. And there's been some talk about Monolith over the past couple months or year or so. From rumors to them being tapped by Nintendo to work on the next Zelda, the game that would be the successor to Breath of the Wild, to the fact that they've just been hiring a lot of new employees. And there's rumors behind the scenes that Monolith has a new game that they plan on revealing sometime in the future. And so between all that stuff, the Zelda stuff, the hiring employees, rumors of a new game, I just feel like this might be an ideal time for Nintendo to show us what Monolith has been working on. I would be very happy with a 4th Xenoblade game. I'm not gonna lie. I would actually love a sequel to Xenoblade Chronicles X, because they did Xenoblade Chronicles, and now they've done Chronicles 2. Well, they've done one Xenoblade X. Why not do Xenoblade X2 or some sort of spiritual successor to that? I'd be very, very excited because, you know, at first I thought I preferred Chronicles 2 to X, but the more I've played Chronicles 2, I do love that game, but I actually did prefer X, which is a surprise because I missed having a story and a central character to focus on. But I think that overall, Xenoblade Chronicles X executed everything it was trying to do better than Chronicles 2. But, like I said, they're all good, so I'll take a 4th Xenoblade Chronicles game for sure, but it would also be neat to see them doing a brand new game, a completely original IP. That would probably be the most exciting. I don't even know that I want them working on Zelda, to tell you the truth. I mean, it doesn't make me sad or upset to think about them doing that, but I think I would just prefer them working on their own stuff, and Nintendo has their own internal team that makes incredible Zelda games, obviously. So we don't need Monolith to help Nintendo make Zelda. They can do it on their own. I want Monolith to make Monolith games, and so I'm really hoping that we see their game this year. Another shocker that I think would blow people's minds if it showed up at E3 this year would be Kid Icarus, the return of Kid Icarus. How freaking cool would that be? I feel like Nintendo isn't done with that franchise either, you know? Same with Pikmin, same with Star Fox. I think Kid Icarus does have a future. That series has had a very strong presence in Smash Brothers for the past couple of releases. And I think that they put so much into Kid Icarus Uprising on the 3DS. What a fantastic game. There are some weird things about it, obviously, the controls or whatnot, but I actually still loved that game. I thought the idea was great. And if they could maybe make a sequel to that game on the Switch with more traditional controls, it would be amazing. And I think that a lot of people and a lot of fans have been wanting Kid Icarus to return for a long time. I think that it makes sense on the Switch. I think it would be a very big hit, so I would love to see that game show up. Now, my last 2 possible surprises for E3 are big ones, so I wanted to save them for the end. Let's get the Big Daddy out of the way. Let's get the one that you guys are going to be curious about and is probably going to be featured in the thumbnail, and you're going to be like, how is that even possible? What's Rob talking about? And it's Metroid. I think that there's a good chance we're going to hear from Metroid at E3 this year. And that probably seems confusing, and I know why, because of Metroid Prime 4. There's no way we're going to see Metroid Prime 4 this year, right? So what are they going to do? Well, if you've been following me the past few weeks, I've discussed Metroid on a video recently regarding E3 or some Nintendo future stuff, so you might know where I'm going with this. I think that there's a couple possibilities of how we could see Metroid show up this year. The obvious one is the Metroid Prime trilogy. I mean, come on. How long has that conversation been going on for? As I've said many times, I was one of the first people on the internet, coming up on 2 years ago, to start really hyping and discussing and pushing this idea of the Metroid Prime trilogy coming over to the Switch. I was in the grassroots movement back when that first started, right after the Switch launched. And when we look at the last year, how much conversation and hype has there been around a trilogy collection coming to the Switch? It's been talked about, it's been rumored, Reggie and Nintendo have teased it, other people with behind-the-scenes knowledge have basically stated that they know or have heard it is a thing that was happening. Some discussions about delaying Metroid Prime 4 changed what Nintendo planned to do as far as releasing or revealing a Metroid Prime trilogy on the Switch, and so if there's truth to that, which I certainly do want to believe, then maybe E3 makes the most sense. And I've been saying for a while, E3 or bust when it comes to Metroid, and so when it comes to the trilogy, I'm going to say it. If next month, if we don't see the Metroid Prime trilogy announced or revealed, I'm just going to go on record saying, you know what? I think I'm done with this, and I will no longer be believing it. I cannot put my faith in it any farther past E3 at this point, given how long it's been and how long the conversations and rumors and behind-the-scenes talk has been going on. It's time. It's E3 or bust for me, like I said, but that does mean that the possibility exists that it shows up, so we might see the Metroid Prime trilogy finally show up at their E3 Direct. The other way that I think that we could see it happen is maybe a Samus Returns port, something else people have discussed for a long time. I think it would be great and make a lot of sense and be a huge success if Nintendo made an HD port of Samus Returns on the Nintendo Switch. I know millions of us would double dip, and millions more would play it for the first time. I mean, it's just a guaranteed bona fide hit, and it gives a lot of the Metroid fans something in the wake of Metroid Prime 4's delay, reminds people that Metroid and Samus matter, Nintendo is invested in the series, and it's not going to go away, we haven't forgotten about you, here's a Samus Returns port, and whatever, have fun with it. I think that would be great. Also, maybe some sort of other new 2D Metroid experience. That's my big fanboy kind of wishlist thing, is that somehow Nintendo has managed to be working on a 2D Switch exclusive Metroid game. So not a port of Samus Returns, but a brand new game. Whether it's hand-drawn art, 16-bit pixel art, or something akin to Samus Returns, where it's 3D polygonally based graphics, but just on a 2D plane. But a brand new game, not a remake of Metroid 2. I mean, sky's the limit, and I just get really excited thinking about that. So I just feel like something has to happen with Metroid this year, since there is no Metroid Prime 4. Hell, even if it's just Metroid, Super Metroid on the Super Nintendo coming to the Switch for $10. I mean, even something like that, or a collection of the classic games, you know, Metroid, Metroid 2, Super Metroid, Metroid Fusion, as some sort of package on the Switch. I mean, anything like that makes sense, so I just feel like it makes sense to see Metroid this year. And so, the last thing that I'm hoping to maybe see surprise us at E3 this year from Nintendo is Retro Studios' game. Now, we know Retro Studios is now working on Metroid Prime 4. I got it. We all know this. However, we also know that Retro has been making some sort of weird, mysterious, behind-the-scenes secret game for the past, 4 or 5 years. It's been discussed. I mean, Reggie has basically talked about it. There's been hints and teases. Retro hasn't only been working on Metroid Prime 4. That decision happened 4 months ago. We're talking about, what have they been doing for 5 years? They've been making a game. Rumors about the Star Fox racing game? Sure, I mean, maybe we see it's that. What if it's something else? What if it's a different kind of Star Fox game? What if it's a different Nintendo IP, like a Kid Icarus, for example? What if it's a brand new IP from Retro? I mean, a lot of us have been wanting something like that for a long time as well. Like, Retro Studios is so talented, so please, make your own game. You don't only have to remake classic Nintendo games. You've done Metroid, you've done Donkey Kong. Sure, I'd like to see your take on Star Fox. I'd like to see your take on Kid Icarus, or whatever the heck. But make your own game. So, I don't know, whatever it is, Retro has been doing something, man, and, I mean, year after year, E3 after E3, Direct after Direct, we've all been waiting and wondering and hyping and talking and teasing and theorizing and predicting, Retro Studios' game is coming, man, it's been since 2014, the time is now, and it's just not happened, man, it's so freaking weird. And so, almost like my feeling with the Metroid Prime trilogy, I kind of feel like it's E3 or bust in terms of that game. What the hell was Retro Studios doing for the past 5 years? It's got to show up at E3 this year. If it doesn't, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to say we'll never see the game, but maybe we would never see the game. Doesn't make sense for Nintendo to scrap it just because of Metroid Prime 4, because 5 years of development or whatever that game is, why would you throw that in the garbage? Like, it's been a lot of money and time and manpower and resources into whatever that game has been, so just release the damn thing. Just finish it and release it. Retro is a big studio as far as we know. They can finish that game and then also start work on Metroid Prime 4 at the same time, I would think. So, I don't know, man. All I can say is, dude, what the hell has Retro been doing? We want to know. We love those guys. So E3 this year, next month, Nintendo, show us Retro's game. So those are some of my predictions, my thoughts and theories about surprises we might see at the Nintendo Direct, as well as some of the obvious stuff we know to expect as well. It's going to be an exciting year, man. It's going to be a great time. I might do the thing that I did last year where I record myself watching and reacting to it and then post it as an upload later, because I don't really do live streams of those things. But I might just record it and post it for fun, because you guys really seem to enjoy that last year. But either way, the time is now, man. Let's get hyped. What do you guys think about my theories? What surprises do you expect to see from Nintendo at the show? What do you think about the ones that I talked about? Do they make sense? Do you believe in them? Do you have some of your own that I didn't bring up? Whatever it is, talk about it, because it's E3 time, and it is the best and most hyped time we could possibly imagine. Christmas for gamers, man. I love it. So, with that being said, this video's a wrap. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Ro2R, and I'll catch you next time on another video.